So I've got this old bike, just like the last one. Requires a lot of footwork. You have to do a what they call a Form T22B, basically a VIN check, and they fill out this form. So when you want to register it, you take it to the tag office. They can see that the VIN has been checked and it's not stolen or whatnot. Where I live, they'll come out to you and do it, and they provide the form. So I had this bike at the shop in Smyrna. You know, I figured I'd have more time here and there to tinker with it at work. So I called Smyrna thinking they'd come out, and they said, you have to bring it to us. Well, today I go after work, you know, load it up. The problem with this, I don't have any ramps or anything like that, so I had to use the crane to put it in the back of the truck. Just, you know, I had to move everything to do that. It was just kind of a pain in the ass. So I loaded it up, took it there. You have to call on this phone, dispatch, and they bring an officer off the road to come do the VIN check. So I sat around and waited for that. Officer shows up, and he's like, all I can do is check the VIN. I don't provide a form or anything like that. I said, well, while I'm here, can you just check the VIN? Yeah, nothing came back. Just like a lot of these old bikes, a lot of old cars, usually bikes especially, sit around forever. It kind of fell off the system, so nothing exists on it, which is good. It just creates more footwork, but hey, it's not stolen. You know what I mean? I've got to go online and find a copy of this form and print it out and take it back and go through the process again, and I have to fill the form out myself, which may be normal. It may be normal, but where I live, it's not. They come to you, bring the form, they fill it out, and they always have. Not a big deal. So, like I said, footwork. You know, the engine is locked up. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but it sat outside where the carburetor's off, and I think some water got into a couple cylinders, maybe all of them. I don't know. So that's really not as big of a deal as it sounds like. If that's the case, you know, the head and the cylinders will come off. I'm hoping I can get by with honing the cylinders out and cleaning up the pistons and maybe putting new rings and checking everything else out while I'm there. And really, I'm looking at a little bit of elbow grease and some rings, worst case, if that's all that's wrong with it. So that's not a big deal. You know, it's some gaskets. And, you know, if that checks out, then I'll build the bike. If not, it's not really worth anything. But hopefully, I can get this form filled out and signed off. And then at that point, once we're clear on that, then I'll just take the engine off of it. Well, got my form filled out, finally. Riding around with this bike still. And I'm hoping to unload this sucker tomorrow, put it back in the shop. So now we move on to the next step, and that is to I'm just going to take the engine off the frame and kind of start taking it apart. I'll start with the top of it, take the head and the cylinder off, and cylinders, and just see if it's just seized up right there at the rings, which I'm sure that's all it is. And you know, if I can get it apart, Just make sure there's no pitting or grooves in the cylinders where the rings are. And if that doesn't look too bad, then I'll check the rest of the engine out. And then I'll probably order some rings. I'm sure it's going to need them, even if they don't look bad. What happens when they seize up most of the time is the rings have rusted to the cylinder. If it's a case of water intrusion, not a mechanical, a busted rod or something like that. More than likely, it sat for a long time. Sat for a long time with no carburetors, the best I can tell, and I'm guessing it was outside. I'm guessing water got in the little manifolds, and I took the plugs out, went in there with a borescope. I can tell it looks pretty kind of wet and rusty. Looks really rusty. When you see rust on top of aluminum pistons, I'm sure that water got in there. So hopefully I can get away with just some rings and holding the cylinder out, and the cylinders. Oh, I keep saying that, and check out the rest of it. I mean, might split the case and look at all the gears and the shafts, make sure everything looks good. So then I'll put it together and spin it with a starter, with fresh oil in it, of course, and do a compression check on everything. And that checks out. That's the final hurdle, and then we'll build the bike. Not stolen. T22B is filled out and signed, and then we'll check the engine. So footwork is almost done, at least that part. Now we can actually dig into it, and I'm kind of excited about that. I've been waiting to do that. I've just been sitting there in the shop for a while, and it's about time I had something to tinker with anyways. Even if the engine's no good, at that point I wouldn't have any money in it, just some time and footwork, which, I mean, that ain't never gonna hurt nobody, That's where we're at. Now I'm gonna go back to the shop and turn the camera back around and use it as a dash cam like I had. Now I'm just rambling. I got nothing else to say about it. I've said what I wanted to say. I'll tell you what, though, I'll smoke to that. This is legal. I don't smoke that stuff anymore. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't smoke that. I shouldn't smoke this. I didn't smoke this for a good 4 years. And life happens. Worst thing you can do when you have quit smoking is work with a lot of smokers and work in a stressful environment, because at some point you get pissed off at something and you say, hey, let me bum a smoke. And that's what happened. I bummed a smoke, and then I bummed another, and then I bummed another, and then I went and bought a pack, and guess what? I'm a smoker. Real disappointed about that. I'm not happy about it. But I'm at the point now where I buy them every once in a while and binge smoke, and then I put them down. And before, I was never like that. I would smoke 3 packs a day. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it, but I feel like something in my mind tells me I have to do it. Just like you have to eat. So now I'm stuck. I don't like it. I don't want to smoke. But what do you do? Yeah. Pull over here and turn this camera around. Bye-bye.